Hello, my name is Bianca and welcome to my channel. Today's video is going to be my July wrap up. So, first of all, if you do follow me, I apologise there wasn't a video last Sunday going up. Basically I was doing a reading vlog, which was kind of like a bit of a spend a week in my life, and yeah, it basically by the Thursday was going a bit to pot, is that the same? So I gave up on the video idea and I was going to film something else, but then we went away camping for the weekend. So yeah, we kind of was a bit too busy and I ended up not being able to finish that vlog. But yeah, so I ended up just not doing a video in the end. So I apologise for that if you do follow me. It will be back to every Sunday again. So yeah, this week has been a hectic one, and we've got a hectic week next week as well. So it's just a very hectic time, isn't it? But loving it, making lots of memories. But I still managed to read, I think there's 11 books. Yeah, 11 books I managed to read in July, which is pretty good going considering I was actually very busy throughout the whole July. Right, let's start with the 3 stars. I work our way up to the 5 stars, which is what I tend to do with all of my wrap up videos, just so that we finish on a high. So yeah, I've got quite a few 3 stars, 2 4 stars, 2 5 stars. So for me personally, like 3-star reads is still a good book. I just didn't love it as much as, like, you know, obviously my 4 or 5-star reads. But let's have a look through them. So first of all, we've got 9 Perfect Strangers by Liane Moriarty. This was absolutely huge when it came out a few years ago. So when did it come out? In 2019. So yeah, loads of people would talk about this. So I'm a bit late to the party with this one. But I finally read it. This is basically a luxury retreat in the middle of nowhere, and the idea is that you stay there for 10 days. It's like almost like a detox type of place. And we have 9 strangers that go along. I think there's like a couple that are there. There's just a bunch of different people from all walks of life. And we kind of see the point of view through pretty much every person. So all 9 of these people that stay in the retreat, also the owner of the retreat, and also one of the workers. I don't know if it's both workers. There's 2 other workers that are at the retreat. I can't remember if it was just one point of view or both of those point of views. So there's a lot of point of views in this book, basically, is what I'm getting at. I think there's like 12, 13. So that's kind of why this only made it 3 stars, to be honest. It was a lot of different viewpoints that kind of just, yeah, you would be reading one person, just getting into it, and then it would switch to another person. So we kind of saw pretty much a lot of their backstory. We also saw how they were dealing with the situation within this retreat. I don't know how to talk about this one without giving away any spoilers, but it obviously becomes a bit chaotic at this retreat and something bad starts happening there. And they are pretty much feeling like they're there to try and survive, and you know, they've got stuff up against them and they all need to try and work together to get out. That's all I'm going to say, because I kind of feel like anything else I think would just give away the main plot line of this story. So yeah, there are tense moments towards the end which were good, but yeah, I feel like there's a lot of this build up, and I kind of feel like there's just probably too many point of views to make this a thrilling book like it's meant to be. But I just still enjoy it, just I didn't love it. Okay. Then we have A Head Full of Ghosts by Paul Tremblay. So I've been meaning to read this book for a very long time. I read, is it called A Cabin at the End of the World? The Last Cabin of the World? Something like that. The Cabin at the End of the World. I read that a few years ago and absolutely loved that book. I thought it was brilliant, and so I kind of wanted to keep trying Paul Tremblay books, and I'd heard that this is probably like one of the most scariest one. This is very much like any other story where someone is taken over by possibly the devil, like there's an exorcism, and you know, that like a poltergeist activity. It's kind of like very much that kind of story. And this one we're following two sisters in their part of the Barrett family, and they're living in New England, and 14-year-old Marjorie starts to display signs of acute schizophrenia. And it's kind of like you're trying to work out whether it is her mind, or whether there is a poltergeist, or whether there is some sort of demon, or what is going on. And the family decide to allow a TV show to come into their lives and start filming, and it becomes like a series that's very popular around the world. And it was a hit. It was a hit reality television series. And then we go to 15 years later, and Marjorie's sister Mary is basically telling the story to a journalist, and is basically trying to explain what actually happened from her point of view. So she was the younger sister. So I don't know whether, I suppose she was like only like 8 or something. Yeah, so she was like 8. And I kind of feel like seeing her point of view probably isn't, you know, her parents tried to shield everything away from her. Like, they didn't want her to see her sister at her worst. But her sister was like doing weird stuff with her as well. And like, there's obviously like some sort of evil, but you don't know whether it's the sister or whether it's something that's taken over the sister. And you kind of go through the story trying to work out what actually happened 15 years ago. And I don't know, there's a part of me that thought this was, you know, a fairly good book, but obviously it's been done so many times, and it very much reminded me of the case with the sisters in the UK. Where was it? What was the house? Oh, and they basically had, I think it was like in the 70s or 80s, and they had the media in the house, and there was a journalist, and there's been like a film made about it as well. But it's a very well-known case, and I've completely forgotten the name of the family, and it just kind of was like a retelling of that it's so similar to that, you know, with the fact that this family have like a TV series come into their lives to basically document everything that's going on with Marjorie. And yeah, it kind of was a bit like, I feel like it's been done so many times before, these type of stories, that I didn't love it. But I mean, it was good. I am still going to continue reading Paul Tremblay books, but I know that he's kind of like a bit of a hit or miss author for a lot of people. And I know there's like some controversy around him, but I don't really know fully what that's about. I don't really look into it. I'm not really sure what that's about, but yeah. I'm going to give a couple of his other books a go as well. Then we have Homebody by Rupi Kaur, which is a poetry collection. Like, some of the poems are like really, really small. This is basically an author who is very open about her own mental health and about anxiety, that sort of thing. And this is basically meant to help with like anxiety and basically just getting in control of your own thoughts. And about, I mean, there are like topics I kind of think that this author may have been abused when they were younger, and that's what's caused the depression and anxiety for this particular author. And there is like a couple of the poems which is about that. I do feel like a lot of these poems did hit me, and I was like, yeah, I could completely see, and you know, they were relevant to me. And like this one, for instance, it's got an illustration with it as well. So this is just one. Live loud and proud like you deserve, and reject their bullshit definition of what a woman should look like. Basically, it's like things like that. Basically trying to tell you to not worry about what other people think. There were quite a few that I tabbed. There was quite a few that I really enjoyed. But there were some that obviously didn't relate to me, and I just couldn't relate to. And just some that just weren't really for me. And so yeah, so I gave it 3 stars because it was kind of like very much in the middle for me. Then we have The Villa by Rachel Hawkins. So this is a bit of a thriller. This is following Emily and Chess, and they've grown up being really good friends, and now they're older. I believe like Chess is like very successful. Like I think I have like a Instagram person, like an influencer. She's very successful. I think she's wrote a few self-help books, that sort of thing. So she's quite successful, and she's been friends with Emily since they were children, and you know, now they're older. Like Chess basically says, oh, let's go and stay at this villa in Italy. So they go along, and it turns out this is the villa where a notorious rock star was killed many years ago. So whilst Emily is there, she's an author, been writing her books, and she decides that she's going to write a story on what happened at the villa years ago. But the more she looks into it, the more there's like things that are happening now. So it kind of goes between two timelines, and I mean both timelines I really enjoyed. There wasn't one that was more prominent for me than the other. I did enjoy both timelines, which is quite rare sometimes, because usually there's a more prominent timeline and one that you want to read more about, and the other one is just meh. But in this one, both timelines were really good. I gave it 3 stars. I thought, you know, it wasn't like amazing, but it was the sort of book which is perfect. It's quite short, you know, just reading down the beach by the side of the pool, that kind of thing. Good summary read. And then I read This Is Going to Hurt by Adam Kay. I actually read this via audiobook in the end, when I was walking to and from work, and when I was doing bits for work on like Thursdays and Fridays. I was able to listen to the audio. This, you know, there was some parts that I did find quite funny. There were some parts that I found absolutely devastating. But yeah, it's the sort of book which kind of opens your eyes to the NHS in particular, about how the hospitals work here in the UK. It's, yeah, basically Adam Kay was a junior doctor, and this is spanning from between 2006 and 2010, I think. So it's like 4 years of his life as a junior doctor, and some of the things that he came across whilst he was working there in the hospital. And wow, yeah, the NHS staff have it very difficult. Let's put it that way. It's absolutely horrendous, the way they're treated, the amount of hours they have to work. It's a very eye-opening book, but yeah, there were points where I was just like, yeah, it's basically just picking out different, so each day picking out something that happened in that day, and he also does change names and things like that, so you know, there's no one basically getting their information leaked in the book. But yeah, there are funny moments, there are some heartbreaking moments. It's very up and down emotionally listening to this or reading this. So yeah, I did enjoy it, and I kind of feel like it is very much an eye-opener. It does make you think about how, you know, how these junior doctors, like why there is so many that just leave. Like obviously Adam Kay did. He's no longer a doctor, no longer. I don't think he's even working in the hospital at all anymore. You don't have a personal life. Like, your world is your job, and you don't get paid very well. You get treated horrendously. Yeah, I mean, I just couldn't do it. And I applaud anyone that, you know, I think very highly of anyone that would choose to work in the medical profession in this country. I just think, wow. I do think, wow. And they're amazing people. I don't know how, or like how they could do it or why they could do it. I mean, it looks like it's absolutely knackering. And when things do go wrong, it's horrendous for them. You know, they are questioned. They are like, you know, the finger gets pointed at them when something does go wrong. I mean, there must be very rewarding moments, I'm sure, but yeah, there's a lot that it's like, wow. It takes a special kind of person to work in the medical profession in the UK, I think. Because I suppose the reward is when you do help someone and they do get better. I suppose that is the reward. And yeah, but otherwise, I mean, you don't have a personal life. You don't get paid very well. You're basically living your life in a hospital, and you go there, you work stupid amount of hours a day, and you literally go home to sleep, and then you're back doing it the next day, and that could be 7 days a week sometimes. Like it sounds absolutely harrowing and horrendous, and it kind of makes you realize like why there are mess ups, because these people are running on nothing. They've got no energy, they're not sleeping, they're not eating properly, they don't even have bottles of water that they take around with them. Like sometimes they could go a whole shift without having a drink. Like it's horrendous. You know, a lot needs to be done for the NHS in this country. It really does, because yeah, this is very eye-opening, let's put it that way. It's a very interesting book, very much so. So yeah, it was a good read, but shocking at the same time. And we got Problem at Pellensabane, Other Stories by Agatha Christie. This is just a short story collection by Agatha Christie. Some of them were really good, like they actually had a murder mystery, but some didn't actually have a murder in there. So I was like trying to figure it out as I was reading, and it was like, yeah, some of these aren't a murder mystery, but I had some fun with it. I gave it 3 stars because some I absolutely loved, some I didn't. And then we have Lore Olympus Volume 1, which is a graphic novel with stunning artwork, lots of pinks, blues and purples going on. It's absolutely stunning, as you can see. So I've given it 3 stars because the artwork is superb. It's basically like a Greek mythology retelling, and I just kind of didn't, I don't know, I just didn't follow the storyline very well, and it kind of jumped around quite a bit. So you had to, it's like, yeah, it just, so it's episodes, basically chapters, but it jumps to something else and following someone else completely, and I'm like, I got a bit lost trying to follow the story. So yeah, I gave it 3 stars. Then we have the 4-star reads. So first of all, we have The Catch by T.M. Logan. It's quite a chunky one, actually. So this one is basically following Ed, who is a father. His daughter, oh my gosh, what was the daughter's name? Abby, there we go. I completely forgot. Right, so Abby comes home to her parents, says, right, this is my boyfriend, Ryan, and introduces them, and then goes, oh, by the way, we're getting married next month, we're engaged. They've only known each other like 7-8 months at this stage, and the mother seems to be really happy, the grandmother seems really happy, but the father, Ed, is like, no, there's something wrong with this guy. There's something not quite right. By one look, he's like, So the reason why I get 4 stars is because it kind of like didn't ring true about how quickly he jumped onto this whole situation of not really believing that Ryan is who he says he is. And there were some things that he did throughout the investigation that he basically starts doing, where I kind of feel like that doesn't ring true, and I don't think you'd be able to get that sort of information. And there was just some things which, weren't plausible. But at the same time, it's a sort of book that's really hard to describe because you don't really have a lot going on for like the first probably 150, 200 pages. You're just seeing him starting to gather a bit of information about Ryan. But somehow T.M. Logan makes you want to read on. You're turning that page. I read this so quickly because I was like, what is going on? Who is this Ryan guy? And you kind of have this idea that Ed has some secrets of his own. So you're like, well, what's the secrets that Ed has? Does his family know? And so yeah, it's very much like a family drama type thing. Like a bit of this like storyline where you just know that there's something not quite right, and you just want to know what the hell is going on and what this Ryan is hiding. So I ended up really enjoying it, even though there were some points that weren't very plausible, and some points which it was just like they just didn't ring true. Yeah, I ended up actually really enjoying it. So it was a good summer read. And then we have What Happened to the Bennets by Lisa Scottoline. So this is another one that I saw like everywhere a couple of years ago when it came out. When did it come out? Yeah, in 2022. So this is a book that basically follows Jason Bennett. It's the Bennett family. He's a suburban dad. He owns a court reporting business. He's traveling somewhere with his wife and 2 teenage children, and basically 2 guys jump out of a truck and something happens to the family that is going to destroy their lives and change their lives forever. They end up going into a witness protection scheme right away. They have no choice. But obviously the protection scheme is to protect criminal informants, not a family. So they have to basically give up their whole lives. They have to just not tell their friends or family. They have to be straight into this witness protection scheme. And then, so Jason Bennett, the father, starts realising that they're not being told the whole truth by the police, I think it's like the FBI have taken control of it as well. And they've got these 2 guards and they're kind of thinking something is not adding up to this. Like, what's happening? And he decides to take things into his own hands. It starts to turn into a bit of a revenge style story, which I absolutely love. I love storylines that follow the plot of revenge, just getting revenge on someone. It's always tense as well, and I just had a really good time reading this. Like, it was one of those definite twisty type of books where you're constantly wanting to turn the page, you want to find out what's going on, all of that jazz. So yeah, a perfect read. Very much enjoyed it. I mean, I have to say though, the writing in this is like really small writing in this book. So there is that. But yeah, I did really enjoy this. I thought it was quite a good read. Yeah. Then we got our 2 5-star books. And both books are from the same author. Okay, it's just the way it is. Now, this author is very well known for their characters in books, and the characters in these 2 books in particular are just superb. So first of all, we've got The Body by Stephen King. Oh yes. So back in the 80s, a film came out called Stand By Me, and I remember watching that film when I was younger. I think I think everyone's watched that film at some point in their lives, and this is the book that basically inspired that film. So we're following 4, I think they're like 12 or 13. Anyway, they learn that there's a body out on the tracks at a town which is like a 2-3 day walk away from them. And the whole story is basically following them as they decide to do this hike together and go and see this body of a 13-year-old boy who possibly has been hit by a train, possibly been murdered. And so it's basically just following them and their adventures along the way and how they're basically learning, that there's so many amazing quotes in this book. There really is. And it's about their friendship. It explores their friendship, loneliness and adventure. And it's a coming of age story. And, I don't know, it's just something about this book which is like, wow. I ended up highlighting sections, underlining sections, just, of quotes of, one of the characters has said something. I mean, each of them has some sort of horrific background story as well, like not a great childhood. And we're just basically seeing, their friendship coming together, like how great their friendship is, and them coming together and discussing things on this adventure. And yeah, I don't know, I just really loved it. It's a very short book, so it's a novella. It's under 200 pages, and I just feel like it's so great because of the characters in this book. Like, the characters are amazing. Stephen King does an amazing job with characters. He really does. And then the other book, obviously by Stephen King, is Billy Summers. Now, this is following Billy, who is a hitman, or a killer for hire. And he's basically, so he basically gets given a job, which is going to be his, last job. But he has to, be undercover for, the 3 months of the lead up because, so that he can get away fine. But he thinks that there's someone within his group that's corrupt and has plotted something, and he kind of gets wind of this, so he decides that he's gonna pull the wool over their eyes as well to get away. So he ends up obviously having not just the police after him, but this group of people as well. And again, just an amazing character. I really liked this character, and I think that's what, yeah. It does say here, it says, part war story, part love letter to small town America and the people who live there. This spectacular novel features one of the most compelling and surprising duos in King fiction, who set out to avenge the crimes of an extraordinary evil man. Billy Summers is about love, luck, fate, and one last unforgettable shot at redemption. I don't know, I just feel like Stephen King does an amazing job with the majority of his books, let's be honest. I just love the characterization in each of the books, and in this one in particular there was a lot of action as well, which also helps to propel the story forward. Yeah, there was just so much I really enjoyed with this, and again gave it 5 stars because why ever not? So yeah, those were this video has gone on a lot longer than I had thought it would, because it's just me talking about books. I mean, it is a book channel, but you know what I mean. It's just my wrap up. So I apologise for going on for so long, but I just obviously have too much to say about books, and I had a fantastic reading month, you know. Ended up reading 11 books in July, so hopefully in August I get the same sort of thing, you know. We shall see. Like another great reading month, we shall see. But I think in August as well, I'm not gonna have like a TBR, it's gonna be a mood read. So I'm gonna be reading whatever book I like. So I'm currently reading the new Chris Whitaker book, so that's gonna be my wrap up at the end of August. But yeah, I really enjoyed all of the books that I read in July. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I definitely will be back soon with another one.